The town of Barnstable chooses to honor its war dead in many ways. To those men and women who have given the ultimate sacrifice, Barnstable has dedicated memorials in the 7 villages. Channel 18 has chosen to highlight a number of the memorials in our town.
Orin Keyes was born in 1921 in Barnstable. He attended Barnstable High School and graduated with the class of 1938. His yearbook write-up notes that he is the amiable embodiment of energy and that he has often been the cause of antics in the classroom. But still more energy has been expended on the track, where he performed brilliantly. Orin Keyes played basketball in his junior and senior years and played football in his senior year. He was on the track team for all 4 years and on the golf team for 2 years. In the yearbook, on the page describing the accomplishments of the track team, it states, quote, "The track team toppled Orleans 18-13, taking every first place but one. Keyes, Tug Mackey, Renzi, and Pat McKeon were the chief point getters. At Weymouth, Keyes took second in the 440. The cross-country team had its only meet on Armistice Day with Sandwich. Barnstable won with a score of 28-29. Keyes placed second. Orin Keyes enlisted in the Army before the start of World War II and eventually joined B Company of the 101st Airborne Division, the 502nd Parachute Infantry Regiment. Recently, John Merchant was cleaning out the attic of what used to be his grandmother's home in Hyannis when he came across a valuable treasure in the form of bundles of letters, childhood memorabilia, war photos, a high school yearbook, and much more, all belonging to Orin Keyes, Jr. Keyes was the son of Marchant's grand-uncle, Orin Keyes, Sr., who was the brother of Marchant's grandmother, Charlotte.
My grandmother's brother's son, so my grandmother's nephew, which I guess would be my great uncle, that's what I'm going with, was Orin Keyes Jr. And C Street Beach is technically called Orin Keyes Memorial Beach. Orin Keyes was, from what I can gather, just a wonderful, wonderful young man. I found his yearbook in my grandmother's house that just has lots of great inscriptions from his classmates in it. It brings you back in time when everybody in the class is writing nice things and joking a little bit, and there's writing to my Uncle Orin, or great Uncle Orin, from just about everybody in his class, and it kind of gives you a little bit of a sense of who he was. Now, when
what year was it?
Yearbook was 1938. Yeah, it's really tough to read, but 1938. And you know, I as I discovered this stuff in my grandmother's house, I felt a little betrayed that my family hadn't explained more about Uncle Orin. And then it sort of came to light that it was just such a painful experience because he was just such a wonderful young man and died in WW2. And we found a box of letters, and just going through a couple of the letters, one was sending him sending a thank you to his grandmother for sending chocolate fudge and cookies that of course he said were the best in the world. And you know, the other side of the world, I'm sure they did taste to be the best. And the one that really touched me was one of the envelopes was a registered envelope. And I opened that up, and on the inside was a little note that said, "Well, folks, I told you I'd send you $20, and here it is, but I'm trying to save some of my money so I'll have it when I get back to the States." And of course, the poor guy never knew he was never going to make it back. But it's just the loss that a family must feel when that happens, that it's difficult to talk about. So I understand now that I feel it's sort of my responsibility, which is why I've wanted to donate this stuff to the town, to have a caretaker to be responsible. I mean, we have his his high school diploma that's looking kind of old, but I guess it is. The picture that's been hanging up in the sunroom there for quite some time, that's just a striking photo of a proud young man joining the military. And just the one thing that really, really touched me, though, was finding his Purple Heart, which of course was awarded posthumously after he passed away, and his name inscribed on the back, so there's not any doubt that that's what the family received when Uncle Orin died. And it just makes me proud to be able to have the town take possession of this, these material things that obviously the town's going to be here a lot longer than individuals from families, and to continue the thanks that we owe our veterans and that we owe the people that fight for this country to keep us free. And I go back through my memory, and I remember Uncle Orin being mentioned a few times, but his dad's name was Orin too. So when you're a little kid, it's easy to get confused with things. And it just was really painful, I guess, for the family to talk about him. I'd hear conversations that were being carried on that I wasn't a part of and that I wasn't really tuned in with. And you know, you see tears, and when you're a little kid, you don't really put two and two together. And I can't imagine. I have two boys, and if those boys, when they got bigger, went off and fought for our country, well, God bless them, and that's what we need to keep our country great. But to lose a strong, smart member of your family that would have such a positive future ahead of them, it's got to be devastating, and I understand family members having a hard time talking about it. In 1947, the town renamed C Street Beach to Orin Keyes Memorial Beach, and it's just so proud. I go down there the day after I dropped off the day I dropped this stuff off at Town Hall. On the way home, I stopped down at Keyes Beach. I always call it Keyes Beach and not C Street Beach. And I stood up there on the bluff, and I just smiled, and I looked out at the water, and I looked at the dunes, and I said, "I got you covered, Uncle Orin." And it was a good feeling.
For a brief while, Keyes feared he would be discharged from military service due to foot problems, but he was ultimately allowed to stay. The letters document his journey through the war, from Maine to Louisiana, and eventually to Europe. The letters reveal a young man filled with the innocence of youth who longed to return home, find a career as a state or local police officer, marry his girl, and live contentedly on Cape Cod.
Dear folks, well, here I am, at it again. As you can probably see, I've been transferred to Headquarters Company, Heights Post, Canal Zone. I am now clerking in the Inspector General's office. Do you think I will be able to get to the town of Barnstable Police Department if I can't make the state police? Ask Daddy if he can find out what the requirements are. When I get on the force or get me a decent job, I'm going to get married and settle down for good. They can have Panama, Maine, Philippines. Give me old Cape Cod and my little blonde, and I'll be perfectly happy to never move off the Cape.
In a letter from England, Orin announces that he has married an English girl named Elsie and how happy he is. On the 16th of July, 1944, he tells his grandmother that he has been awarded the Combat Infantryman's Medal and a Bronze Star for heroic action in battle. And he announces that he even got an increase of pay. On the 10th of September, he tells his grandmother that he and Elsie were expecting a baby, but Elsie fell at her work in a factory and lost the baby. In what turned out to be his last letter home, on September 16, 1944, Orin Keyes asks his grandmother to find a picture of himself from home, and he requests that she send it to Elsie in England. Orin and his fellow soldiers were advancing up a tree-lined road in Oland in the Netherlands on September 21st, 1944, when he and 5 other soldiers were killed by the Germans. The next day, 3 more soldiers died in the attack. Keyes was buried in the American War Cemetery in Margraten, the Netherlands. A plaque in Odenrode, the Sint Odenrode Cemetery, honors the soldiers, including Orin F. Keyes, who gave their lives in the liberation and defense of the city. For his bravery, Keyes was posthumously awarded the Purple Heart. The medal itself was included by Mr. Marchant in the box of items given to the town. In a vote taken at the 1946 Barnstable Annual Town Meeting, 30 specific sites in the town were designated for the sons and daughters of the town who gave their lives in the service of their country on the land, sea, and air. C Street Beach was named the Orin Keyes Beach.